Hey y'all, it's Katie. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to check out another one of my videos. And if you're new here, hi, my name is Katie Marie and I am a lover of eyeshadow palettes. And if you are a lover of eyeshadow palettes, not only is this a great video to watch, but I would encourage you to check out my channel because I like to focus a lot on eyeshadow palettes because that is my favorite aspect of makeup. And as I said, this is a great video to tune in on because we are going to be doing another makeup tag, but this one is all focused on eyeshadow palettes, which I am always down for. I love talking about eyeshadow palettes. I love answering questions and pertaining them to the eyeshadow palettes I have in my collection, so I'm really excited to be getting into the questions. But before we do that, I do want to say that this is a collab video. So Amy at Dolly Mama Beauty reached out to me and she was kind of the brainchild of this collab video and wanted to see if I wanted to do it with her and also our other fellow YouTuber Alejandra, Lisette, I think is how you say her name. I call her Alex, but Alex is another friend of mine here on YouTube, and I've done a collab with both Amy and Alex in the past, so I'll leave both of those linked down below if you want to check those out and, you know, hear me talk a little bit more about them. But I love both of these ladies very dearly. I really enjoy their content. I really enjoy their friendship, so I was more than happy to do this collab video with them. So I will leave their videos answering this tag with their own questions down below, and I highly encourage you to check them out. Both of them are beauty YouTubers, both of them are moms, and like I said, they're not just YouTubers that I watch, but they're also YouTubers that I talk to behind the scenes, and I consider them my friends here on YouTube. So I really do appreciate and value their friendship, but I really do enjoy their content, so I highly encourage you to check them out. Amy, or Dolly Mama Beauty, is very focused on eyeshadow palettes and using what she has in her collection, as is Alex. I would encourage her channel if you like to use your collection as well. Both of them really do a good job in going back and using their collection, unlike me. But you know, I'm that friend who just has no self-control. But anyway, both of their channels focus on eyeshadow palettes and they do tend to go back and use what they have and do videos with them. Alex, if you like project panning challenges, I would highly recommend her channel because she does them a lot and she's always got something going on. So anyway, like I said, I'll have them both linked down below. But yeah, they are my collab partners for today, and I'm just so very excited to be collaborating on this tag, which I haven't even really formally announced it yet. But this tag is called the Eyeshadow Palette Lover Tag, which from the title right there, you know it had my attention. I was like, oh yes, this is the tag I need to do. But anyway, it was created by Angelica Lyremar, I think is how you pronounce her last name. I'm not really sure. I will have her channel linked down below so you can check out her and her original video. I found her through this tag and I'm now subscribed and watching her content. I really enjoy her content. Her looks are absolutely beautiful. But yeah, she is the creator of this tag, so I do want to make sure I give her credit. But yeah, she has 10 questions all focused on eyeshadow palettes and I cannot wait to get into them. So before we do that, I nearly forgot. Let's do my Instagram shout out for today. And it's going to go to the little blushing birdie. She commented on my most recent Instagram post. Lauren, she is just such a fabulous YouTuber, Instagrammer. If you like beautiful flat lays, check out Little Blushing Birdie. Her Instagram page is just drool worthy. But yes, Lauren, thank you so much for commenting on my most recent post, and you are my Instagram shout out for today. And per usual, if you want a chance to be featured, all you have to be doing is following me on Instagram. I'm LadyKatie92 and interact with my content as it goes up, and I randomly select someone before doing a video. So now we can officially jump into the tag questions. Okay, question number 1 is a palette I regret that I didn't buy. And this one hits pretty close to home because there's 2 palettes that are just in my head that anytime I think about them, I'm regretting not buying them. Speaking of which, I should probably scoot over so that I can put the pictures here. One moment. Okay, so now that I've scooted over, the first palette that I still regret a lot is the Muse Beauty Impressionism palette. This palette, anytime I see anyone do looks with it or anytime I see anyone feature on their channel, I'm just like, darn it, I should have gotten that palette. Like literally, that's what I think every time. So this is a palette that's still in my sight, that's still in my mind, and I keep trying to be like, no, it's okay. There's so many palettes coming out, Katie. You do not need it. You do not, I don't need it. You do not want it. I just keep lying to myself because I'm not gonna lie, I still kind of want it. I look at it and it's just so beautiful. It's got so many interesting colors and the looks that I see people do with it are just so beautiful. And so yeah, that's definitely still a regret. I'm still trying to stay strong, but anyway, it's still a palette I really want. And then another palette that I am not gonna lie regretting, and this is a new launch, but it is the Sydney Grace and Mel Thompson, I think it's Tiny Miracles, or what is it called? Tiny Marvels, that's what it is. Tiny Marvels palette that she collabed with Sydney Grace on. I talked myself out of it in my will I buy it, and I still stand behind the reasons for not getting it because it is largely a neutral palette with just a couple pops of very soft colors in it, which just isn't really me right now. However, now that I'm seeing everyone get it, I want it, but like the main reason I want it is just for the outer packaging, because I do think it's cute, and and for the palette, I just like having palettes, but when I look at the color store, I still am not crazy about it, so that's why I'm trying to stand firm. But not gonna lie, every time I see someone showing it or doing a look with it, or just featuring it on their channel or their Instagram, I'm just like, I kind of want it. I kind of want to hold that palette in my hands and see it. I just feel like, yeah, isn't that ridiculous? I just want a palette so I can hold it in my hands. But that is definitely a palette that if I were to buy a palette just for looks and like just for the packaging, that would be one of them. And if I had money to blow, I would totally be buying it. But I'm trying to, like I said, I'm trying to be conservative. There's a lot of palettes launching right now that I do want, and I just can't buy everything. So I'm not gonna buy it, but the FOMO is so real right now. Question number 2, a palette I regret buying. This one was a little tricky because I feel like for the most part when I buy a palette, I tend to buy it because either I trust the brand, I trust their formula, or I really like the color story. And so for the most part, I feel like there's very few palettes that I've purchased that I regret buying. I feel for the most part there are duds. It's usually I get them in PR, or I get them sent to me, that sort of thing, or I get them in a box, so they're not really me buying it, if that makes sense. But anyway, I do remember one palette that I bought with my own money, and I bought it mainly because I got a lot of feedback on my Instagram saying you guys would like to see my thoughts on it, and so that's why I bought it. But even during using it, during testing it, I was just kind of like, this isn't for me. Anyway, it is a Dominique Cosmetics Sweater Weather palette. This was limited edition last year, and it's a cute little palette, but it's just so boring, honestly. But I was wanting to try Dominique Cosmetics again, and I was getting excited for her launch, and then this was the launch, and I was like, oh, kind of disappointed. But I put it on my Instagram. I was like, do you guys want to see my thoughts on this? Do you want to see eye swatches with this? And I got an overwhelmingly positive response, so I was like, okay, I'll buy it. And I think I want to say it was like around $25, so it wasn't crazy expensive. But still, even though it wasn't expensive, it's pretty much been a regret almost from the moment of getting it, because getting it and looking at it, I'm like, oh, this is totally like not my color story. Not only is it neutral, but the colors, the pops of color are purple and mauves, which just aren't my favorite. They're fine. They don't excite me that much. So this palette as a whole doesn't excite me. So the fact that I spent money and bought it, it's a regret purchase. What can I say? Question number 3, a palette I haven't used as much as I thought. So for this one, I'm gonna have to pick the Kaleidos Futurism Sci-Fi Greens palette. Did you see it just disappear from its little cup holder? And the reason being, not that I haven't used it as much as I thought I would, but I feel like I haven't used it on my channel as much as I want to. Like, I feel like, especially with palettes that I love, I like to have a couple videos, or at least one video on my channel featuring it, so that I can always reference it back if I ever mention it in a video, or if I'm ever doing a tag question like this, I can say like, oh, I love this palette, I did a video on it, kind of thing. This palette, I feel like I don't really have any video. I know I've mentioned it in passing and did like roundup video reviews type of thing, but it has no dedicated video. I don't really know if I have any videos of me actually wearing this, maybe one, if I'm remembering correctly. So I feel like this palette, while I have used it a good bit, I haven't used it on my channel that much, and I'm kind of surprised that I haven't, and kind of disappointed that I haven't, because it's a really good palette. Kaleidos, I feel like they hit it out of the park with this grungy palette. They were a new brand when they launched this, and they did so well with the formula. I was so impressed. The shimmers are gorgeous. The black is like one of the most intense blacks ever. I was just, yeah, so impressed. This brand as a whole impresses me, but if you go look at my channel and like search the name on my channel, you wouldn't know that this brand impresses me, because I haven't been able to do much content focused on this palette on my channel yet. So in that respect, that's why I'm picking this, because I'm so surprised I haven't yet, because it's such a good palette. Question number 4, a palette I used more than I thought. These questions are so fun. She did such a good job. I'm going to pick a palette in the future. I'm going to pick the Give Me Glow Cosmetics Pretty in Pastel bundle, and it's a limited edition, no longer in stock. However, they did announce that they are taking this bundle, which is just this top row here, and they're going to turn it into a palette for 2021. So it is going to be a palette. It's just not a palette yet. So I don't know if that's cheating a little bit, but I had to mention it for this one, because when I bought this bundle, a bundle full of pastels, I was like, I'll use it a little bit, I'll use it enough to get to know the formula, but that's going to be it. However, when I actually started playing with this, I can't remember how many looks that I did, but I know I did more than I ever thought I would. I want to say I did 5 or 6 looks, and typically for a collection like this, I'll try to do at least 3, maybe 4 if I would need to figure out the formula a little bit more, if I want to play with the shades a little bit more. But no, I did so many more with this just because I enjoyed them that much, and for them to be pastels and me enjoy them that much, I was shocked because pastels is definitely just not a fad, but they're just a current enjoyment. I like exploring pastels, but they've never been like, pastels have never been something that's like, oh yes, pastels are just so fun. I can see me wearing them all year long. They're just fun for the season kind of thing for me right now. So the fact that I enjoy these so much and can foresee myself wanting to reach back and do more looks with these pastels totally blew me away. Like, the formula is so good, the color variety and the variety of mattes to shimmers, having that ratio of every color has a matte and a shimmer, I enjoyed it so much. And I know a couple of people were a little frustrated that they're turning it into a palette after they bought the bundle, but I love this bundle so much. I'm really glad to know that next year, as long as they keep the formula the same and they keep all the colors, I'm glad to know that you guys are going to be able to buy it in a palette because it's just that good, and I want other people to be able to purchase it because it just blew me away with what a good formula the pastel bundle was, how vibrant and effortless it was to get a pretty pastel look. It took no work, no white base needed kind of thing. I was impressed. So yeah, the Pretty and Pastel bundle I used way more than I thought I was going to. Question number 5, my favorite half neutral and half colorful palette. This was hard for me because I feel like I've just been all into the colors and I haven't been buying too many that are half colorful, half neutral, but I did think of one that has for the longest time been like my half neutral, half colorful palette, and it's the Menagerie Cosmetics Feral palette. This palette, while I feel like when you look at it, you're going to be like, wow, that's a lot of color. However, when you really look at it, and at least for me, when I'm talking about neutrals that I like, this has about half and half. Like, when we're talking about neutrals, for me, a neutral look that I could get that would be very effortless and not too bright color in your face are these shades, this shade, and this shade. And honestly, like, depending on how you use the yellow and the orange, they can kind of marry with more neutral shades to create a more neutral look. So I feel like in that respect, that's half neutral, and then if you really want to go bright and colorful, you have these really bright pops of colors that either can be used all the brights together to create a really bright and fun look, or pairing these brights, like one bright with these more neutral colors, you can get a neutral look with a pop of bright to it. And this was my intro. I feel like this was one of the first palettes that I got that gave me that push, besides Juvia's Place, I guess. Juvia's Place also gave me that neutral with a pop of colorful, and this was, I think, shortly after I got Juvia's Place palettes, but anyway, it was one of the first palettes that I got that really gave me that push of like, oh, bright colors are fun, they're not that scary, but I could still pair them with neutral colors to make me feel comfortable. But yeah, the Feral palette, I feel like it's just split right down the middle for me, and it can give me that really neutral look if I want to do like just these two, or maybe with green on the outer corner, or honestly these three together would be really pretty and still give you a little bit of pizzazz with that shimmer on the lid and a little bit of color, but not too much. It'd still be pretty neutral in my eyes at least. My hair is sticking to my lips. That's the worst part in editing. I often see when I'm editing my videos that a hair is like stuck to my lips. Anyway, getting back to the matter at hand, this is my pick for half neutral and half colorful, just because for me personally and the neutral colors I like, this gives it to me perfectly half and half, and it's a great palette. I love it. Question number 6, a palette I bought for the packaging. This is easy. I buy a lot of palettes for the packaging. I should say that right up front. Like, there are so many palettes. I could name all of Menagerie's palettes because their packaging, absolutely beautiful. Yeah, a lot of palettes. Pretty much anything up here, I bought and enjoy it, and I display it because of the packaging. But anyway, when I think of one palette where I'm not crazy about the inside, but I'll never get rid of it because I love the outside, I'm gonna give it to the Urban Decay Vice 4, I want to say this is, the Vice palette. And this Colorstory is still to this day not really me. Oh, a pan fell out. That's what I heard rattling in there, a green. Anyway, when I first got it, it wasn't really me because I thought it was too colorful. And then now that I like color, I'm just like, that's so boring. But then even on top of that, when I first got it, I did kind of, I think I gave it an overall like a decent review, if I remember right. It's been forever. But a part of me that didn't like it was that there wasn't many mattes in it. Most of it are shimmer. This is a matte, this is a matte, and this is a matte. Is that literally it? There are some like satiny colors, but I don't like to use them. So mattes, I think there's like 3. And the rest are shimmers. So overall, this Colorstory is just, it hasn't really ever been for me. However, I have no regrets on buying this because the packaging, I absolutely love the oil slick spider webby packaging. It's so pretty. It sits up there so I can always see it. And yeah, like I said, I don't foresee myself ever decluttering this because I just love the packaging. I like that blue to purple shift that you can catch in the light, and I like the little spider web oil slick. I think they call it oil slick. I call it a beautiful spider web. But anyway, I love the packaging. So that's the biggest reason I bought it. I remember when they sneaked the cover, I was like, I don't care what the inside looks like, I'm buying that. Question number 7, a palette that you like the shimmers more than the mattes. Again, a really fun question. And for this one, I decided to go with the e.l.f. NJ Kissa To The Rescue palette. If you guys didn't see, I did a 3 looks 1 palette plus review with this, and I've mentioned it in like my palette palooza and stuff like that. And I also did a first impression swatching it. I've done a couple videos on this. I like the palette as a whole. I like the theme of this palette being so colorful and a rainbow. But when we're talking about this palette, I didn't enjoy the matte so much. Like the blues and greens and yellows weren't terrible, but the other ones were a little bit of an issue, and just overall the formula wasn't my favorite. However, I even said it in my review, the shimmers, I couldn't deny that I really like the shimmers. Like they were really nice. I want to say Suki was the only one that was like more of a transparent color, but it was gorgeous as an inner corner highlight. So even that, while it's not my favorite to put all over the lid just because it doesn't give any color, it still works in this palette and has a purpose in this palette because I always used it, or I always enjoyed using it as an inner corner highlight. But yeah, these shades are just so pretty. Like they don't give off a lot of thickness, which I like because thickness can often emphasize texture, but they give a beautiful amount of shine. You can build it up to get more color, but I would say all of these as a whole are more of a soft color. But like, do you see the shine? Anytime I use these, pretty much I feel like I came away just saying, oh, that is really pretty. Like they have that very effortless, soft but wet look to them, if that makes sense. And for an eye look, I feel like this just so pretty and effortless. It's, you know, it's nothing like glitter, it's nothing like metallic, but when we're talking about shimmer and shine, it gives you that really reflective wet look with a soft amount of color. And I don't know, I was so surprised when I looked at this palette and I had to think of like my top favorite thing with this palette. It was the shimmers. I feel like overall they were all pretty much a hit. So this is definitely a palette where I like the shimmers way more than I like the mattes. And question number 8, a palette that you like the mattes more than the shimmers. Again, she thought of such fun questions. I feel like I haven't done a tag like this with these types of questions, so very unique. Anyway, back to the matter at hand. The palette that came to mind first, and I even mentioned it in my review of it, was the Lime Crime Venus 2 palette. When I reviewed this, I said that I loved the mattes. I thought the mattes were absolutely beautiful. I did so many fun grungy looks with these 4 specifically, these 4 shades, and I just thought they were beautiful. Even the blue, I added it to these grungy colors. I loved them. The formula of the mattes is absolutely beautiful. I had no issues with them. I thought they were nicely pigmented and very easy to work with and blend into each other and blend out. But for me, the kind of dud or just like didn't really do anything for me were the shimmers. These 2 shimmers were just very soft, I guess you could say. Okay, my camera turned off. I hope you didn't miss anything. But anyway, I was just saying, Boot, it was pretty, but it's more of just like a satiny black with glitter in it. I don't know, they just don't do anything for me. So yeah, right off the bat when I read that question, the first palette I thought of that was full of mattes that I love and shimmers that I just didn't really like, it would have to be the Venus 2 palette because their mattes are just so nice and those shimmers are just kind of so lackluster. Question number 9, a palette that happily surprised you. I thought about this for a while and I feel like there's been a lot of palettes, but you know, I'm always testing palettes, so I don't have the best memory to think back and immediately like, oh yeah, those are all palettes that pleasantly surprised me. But anyway, all that to say, I feel like there are a lot, but the first one that came to mind that really surprised me would have to be the Mice Cosmetics Smoky Glow palette, mainly because when I saw it online, nothing inside really jumped out at me as saying like, ooh, I'm gonna enjoy that. However, I was totally gonna buy it because I like Midas as a brand and I like Hannah Smoky Glow as a person, as a YouTuber, so I wanted to get it more as in support than for me really loving the Colorstory. However, once I got it, kind of fell in love with the looks that I did. So while I am over here always saying that I'm not much of a mauve pinky girl, there was something about this Colorstory that I absolutely loved, and each of the looks that I did I thought turned out so beautiful. I really enjoyed them, and I remember when I finally like put this palette away after I reviewed it, I was like, I really enjoyed that. I wouldn't mind creating a couple more looks. And Nutty and Dofa, the prettiest shimmers I want to say that I've ever tried from Midas. I know Lemonade has one of the shadows, one of the shimmers that's absolutely beautiful, so that and then these two are my favorite that Midas has ever put in a palette, but these two are just so beautiful. Like, I just can't get over, like, thinking about how beautiful Nutty and Dofa are makes me want to bring this palette back out because they are stunning, like, so beautiful. Oh, so beautiful. I don't know if you'll be able to catch the shifts on camera, but in real life, they're gorgeous. Nutty as an inner corner highlight, blinding. Absolutely love it. So yeah, this was a palette that I was anticipating getting it, reviewing it on my channel, showing support, you know, being able to have it and, you know, congratulate Hannah and stuff like that, but I didn't envision myself falling in love with it like I have done, so that always amazes me. So yeah, this is definitely a palette I did not expect to love it as much as I ended up loving it. And question number 10, a palette with the most interesting color story. This question is so hard because I feel like there are so many palettes in my collection that have interesting color story. Just like with the Pharaoh palette, I feel like that's one that would qualify because it has that interesting mix of colors that makes it a very interesting color story. But for the purposes of this video, I decided to pick, I was going back and forth. I'm gonna pick a Maybe palette. And I was going back and forth between all of their palettes, but I finally decided to pick the Take Me to Tokyo palette because this palette is so colorful and bold. This is a palette that has a lot of colors that work so well together, but they make you think a little bit. They make you get outside your comfort zone. I remember doing a pink and blue look with these two and having just so much fun. It was just so bold and vibrant, but it also has that pop of green. It has this really nice red that I kind of want to revisit now that I've kind of been intrigued to try more matte reds. It has a matte red in here. It has this really pretty kind of purple iridescent shadow that I feel like would be so beautiful topped over a lot of these shadows. The color story in here just totally intrigues me. I do kind of wish they just omitted the plain matte beige color altogether and just kind of kept the fun going and kept this palette as a whole very fun and different and colorful. But yeah, this palette, anytime I think of an interesting color story, Maybe is one of the first because the way they put their palettes together are very interesting. Juvia's Place is also another brand that I feel like they put interesting color stories together, and I almost went to their palettes, but I decided to give Maybe a little bit of a spotlight here and pick the Tokyo palette because this is definitely one that I thought was just so interesting and fun. It pushed me that little extra step outside my comfort zone, and I absolutely love the looks that I did with it. Alright, so those are all my questions to the tag. This tag was so fun. Like I said, I think I mentioned it during the video, the tag questions are very unique. I feel like, at least for me and the tags that I've done, I feel like having to think about like what palettes I like, mattes versus shimmers and shimmers over the mattes in a palette was very fun and different, and overall she just thought of some really great questions. So as I said, I'm gonna have Angelica's channel linked down below. She's getting close to 1,000 subscribers, so I highly encourage you to go check her out. But yeah, a really great tag. Well done, Angelica, on coming up with these questions and putting it together. I had so much fun answering it. But yeah, that's gonna do it for the Eyeshadow Palette Lover Tag. I absolutely love this tag, as you guys already know. But yeah, do make sure you check out both Alex and Amy's videos. I'll leave them both linked down below so you guys can check them out. They are both also very close to huge milestones, so I would highly encourage you to go check out their channel, and if you like their content, please subscribe and let's get them over their milestones. I'm so very excited. They're getting so very close. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you so much, Amy, for reaching out to me and asking if I want to do this. Thank you, Alex, for doing it with us. This was just so much fun to be able to do this together, and I always love the day that these goes live, getting to watch everyone else's videos, so I cannot wait to see your guys' answers to these questions. And if you have a channel and you love eyeshadow palettes, I highly encourage you to do this as well. I would love to see your answers for it, and I would love to see this tag going around on YouTube. I definitely think it's a fun one that should be done, so I highly encourage you to do it, or tag your favorite creators in the comments, or send them Angelica's video so that they can see this tag and hopefully do it on their channels as well. But yeah, with all that said, thank you so much for watching, and per usual, if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up on your way out, as it helps me in the whole YouTube algorithm. And if you want to keep up to date with me, I'm over on Instagram, LadyKatie92, where I upload and post about every day. But with all that said, I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye guys.